We are joined today by Natalie Fertig, a journalist with Politico who covers cannabis on a national level. Thanks so much for joining us today, Natalie.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys.
Natalie, part of the criticism here of this year's frontrunner bill and its predecessors in the past years was the length and how many issues it tried to cover. So compared to the states you've covered, how fair is that characterization of New Mexico's attempt this year? Did it try to do too much?
I mean, what we have to recognize about New Mexico's attempt is that New Mexico is still in the first round of states that are actually doing this through legislative action. I know that it's the 17th state, will be the 17th state to legalize adult use cannabis if this bill passes, but the majority of those states have done so through ballot measures. And so legislatures have been going back in after regulations were passed and either trying to change things from the ballot measures that maybe didn't work. Colorado, for example, famously allowed medical patients to grow 100 plants at home for the first couple of years, that the legislature then had to go in and drastically reduce that home grow limit, which was essentially a small farm. But other states that have done this through ballot measures, some of those ballot measures were very detailed and some of them were not. I think the closest to New Mexico would be either Virginia's legislation or Illinois' legislation, which both regulated cannabis and also addressed social equity, creating social equity funds and doing expungements. But some of the other states have not maybe done it in that complicated of a fashion.
You've touched on the whole issue of plant counts, plant limits for growers. So what is the trend you're seeing across the country in terms of production control?
I mean, honestly, New Mexico, you guys are so interesting and an outlier in this whole thing nationally. I had to ask, I spoke with Representative Martinez about his bill at the beginning of the session, and I totally messed up. I had no clue what he was talking about with plant counts. I thought he was talking about home grow, and he had to correct me because it's not something I've actually ever heard before, putting a cap on the number of plants that can be grown. Usually states discuss caps on licenses, limiting the number of licenses that are out there, the number of people who can grow. And then they have separate licenses for different amounts of plants. So in California, you can have a tiny license for less than 5,000 plants. You can have a 5,000 to 10,000 plant license. But essentially in California, even you could stack 5,000 plant licenses to the ends of the earth if you had the space to do it. So the cap on plants that's a New Mexico only thing. And as someone who covers a lot of these states, I'm very excited to see how this plays out.
You just touched on this, but how did other states that have legalized try to address some of those social justice or equity issues that the New Mexico legislation had?
Well, it's been a bumpy ride. California was one of the first states, along with Massachusetts and Illinois, to create social equity programs. Illinois was the first state to just blanket expunge non-violent, low-level cannabis-related records, looking for that word. But even some of these programs that were early, Massachusetts program, for example, has hit a lot of hurdles. Because one of the things that a lot of lawmakers did not recognize was that you can give equity applicants a head start, but you also need to give equity applicants the means to then succeed with that license or with that priority status. I mean, I've seen in reporting on California, a lot of the people getting licenses are people coming from the real estate industry. You know, they have been dealing with licensing and city permitting, and they have deep pockets and they have deep pocketed friends. And then you see someone coming from one of the communities and the zip codes that have been most impacted by the war on drugs, and they don't have deep pocketed friends. They don't have deep pockets themselves. They don't know how to talk to city council people. They don't know how to file all the complicated paperwork. And so even though they have priority status in the system, they're still not getting open. Their doors aren't getting open. And a lot of the people with the power, a lot of the white men who, have the institutional knowledge, which, not placing blame or anything, but that's the system and that's the reality, are progressing further than the equity applicants. It's a very, very complicated problem to solve.